Stirring the coffee with chopsticks using the vortex method. The only true way to optimize the taste of your coffee at the molecular level. Sometimes I do things just for the trolls. At the molecular level. We'll get started, but first, coffee. Tastes like shit. I made coffee in a percolator today. It's hot. It's the Trader Schmo's coffee. It's acceptable. Like, if there's nothing else around, it's kind of like the emergency coffee. You know, sometimes you got to drink shit in order to appreciate the good stuff. I have this firm belief in life that when you keep experiencing the same thing over and over again, quality, that the quality no longer becomes quality. And that you have to drink a cup of shitty coffee every now and then in order to appreciate your good stuff. It's kind of like relationship fasting. Being away from each other for a while, and then when you do see each other, you really appreciate each other. So I'm going to hug my Ethiopian and French press tomorrow morning. Well, a swallowing sound is better than a sucking sound. Let's get started. This week I'm getting new glasses. I have to do that. I swear my eyes have changed. And it's not just the camera going in and out of focus. Just irritating the fuck out of me right now. Hold on a second. Samsung, get your shit together, man. You've been good to me for a few years. Don't be doing this to me. The biggest group of married women that cheat are those who have quite a bit provided for them by their husband. Why is that? There's a right answer. This is a quiz. What do you think? Put your comments down below. The biggest group of married women that cheat are those who have quite a bit provided for them by the husband. Why do you think that is? Put it down below. And I'll tell you what some people said. If you're not following me on Twitter, you should be. If you're not following me on Instagram, you should be. Fear of the wall, one person says, and the knowledge that it will destroy the only superpower she has. Ooh, that's interesting, right? I have to say, one of the funniest comments I ever got in my life ever came a couple weeks ago. Someone commented, "Vortex method? Question mark. You ain't doing nothing with those chopsticks, bitch." Oh, that was one of those things where if I had food in my mouth, I probably would have spit it out. Just sometimes things strike you a certain way, and you can't explain it. As the top comment pointed out, they have access to that resource no matter what, due to divorce laws. However, top resource men often buy their women. The Elon Musk effect. They're attracted to the wealth lifestyle, not the man. Didn't I mention that a couple of weeks ago? And then every guy that thinks he landed a prize and that she married him for him, commented. So many guys like living in the dark, man. Living in the... Can you imagine like living your whole life in the dark? Come on, let's get... Will the sexes and will the genders just be damn honest with each other for once? Please. Just friggin' please. Always like some little troll guy who thinks his woman married him because he's such a nice guy. Come on. Same thing with the ladies, too. And you think your husband married you because you make a good soup? Come on. Come on. Everybody, will you just get real for once? Oh. Spoiling a woman or a child always results in ruin. Men must not spoil even themselves so that we do not become weak and begin to fear discomfort. Truth is stranger than... Twitter is stranger than fiction. Easy, asymmetric risk and reward. Divorce would require him to continue providing for her. I guess that he's so busy providing for her that he's seldom around and doesn't pay her enough attention. Doesn't listen to her, spend enough time with her, all the things she wants from her mate. If she doesn't feel connected, she's unhappy. Where's the bullshit button? I gotta get one of those where like I just hit it and it says bullshit. Just an actual button that says that. I know there's soundboards that say that, but I actually need to physically go out and slap a bullshit button. There's no tension, no stress. They must create their own drama to function properly. Ooh, we are on to something. We are on to something here. Attention is the answer. If he's providing everything, he's probably working a lot and she's bored, and boredom is the devil's playground. Gluttony and greed, someone said. No accountability, lack of gratitude. Perception of everything, perception is everything, even below the surface. That level of provision is a subliminal sign of weakness. Why invest so much if you're desirable enough to have other options? This is inherently unattractive, so they look elsewhere for someone in higher perceived demand. That was Dr. Granville. Thank you, sir. Good comment there. Had a roommate way back. He was banging a rich man's wife. His take, he was too busy making money, didn't care about the relationship. She had him by the balls, knew she could ruin his life in an instant, so she did what she wanted in secret. He did the same. Interesting, right? I'm going to guess because as the husband may provide material things, he fails to provide love and attraction, or love and affection. I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. There's some that are like super wrong, like and they stand out. But everyone has their own perception, isn't it? You got like 25 comments, and they're all different. Lack of desire. The people they are with are just the providers. Somebody said AWOLT. Whenever you see that, it means all women are like that. Or NAWALT would be not all women are like that. Or if you say AMALT, guess what that means? Put it down below if you know what that means. The relationship becomes boring to her if she gets handed everything because she doesn't have to do anything. So cheating is her way of keeping things interesting to her because she gets handed everything. Strategic pluralism, aka alpha bucks, beta bucks. Of course, from my friend Rollo Tomasi, that is his theory, which I believe is true, and a lot of people quote him without realizing it's him. I even quoted him once without realizing it was him. And I want to be able to start giving proper recognition to people. Like I found myself saying something like, you can't negotiate true desire. and I've, you know, the person who has really talked about that is Rollo, who has described it better, explained it better than anyone that I know. Husband fulfills the beta bucks side of hypergamy. The alpha fulfills the good genes side. Ideally, she gets both from the same man, but reality isn't always fair. If she divorces, she still secures the husband's money. Low risk, high reward. That was a good question. Boy, a lot of people answered that one. What is your favorite watch and why? I want to know. What is your favorite watch and why? Boy, people hated when I said this. They cheated on you, then you and them went for counseling, and now it's all better. They're just better at it now and playing the game in stealth mode. I'm not a fan of counseling. Not a fan of marriage counseling. I know you went for counseling and everything's all better now. Good boy, here's a treat. Good girl, here's a treat. It's all better now. Everything's all better now. You needed that third party to peer in the window of your house and tell you the dynamics of what's going on, because you didn't know how you felt. Listen, I spent nearly 2 decades as a therapist, doing that for a living. And I was up to my knees in bullshit for a long time. I got a master's degree in education with a concentration in counseling, and 1,000 post-grad hours, continuing ed hours, in everything you can imagine in the therapy field. I know what I'm talking about. No one's saving marriages. One person is just submitting more and learning how to obey better. That's what marriage counseling does. It teaches one person to feel bad for the shit that they did and obey better. And the other person is keeping a mental scoreboard. Chalk one up for me. Yeah, I'm not a fan of marriage counseling. I'll never forget the guy that I went to. I actually went for therapy at one point about 15 years ago. And I'll never forget asking the guy who was the therapist, very well-known guy. And I said, does marriage counseling work? And he says, his exact words, that's a hard debt to collect. Yesterday in the video, on the Daybreak show, I talked about an internal locus of control, without saying the words, internal locus of control. Create your own reward system. Don't let another discover what turns you on and then use that to control you and dangle it over you to control you. You'll be no different than the pet getting a treat and hearing, good boy, good girl. Discovering others' preferences is a nice, considerate thing to do. But what moves people and drives them If you want to learn how to manipulate somebody, find out what their drives are, what really moves them. Now, I'm not talking about, like a wife saying, I made tomato soup and grilled cheese for my husband because I know he really likes that. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a good thing. I like cooking. And I probably will do most of the cooking if I ever get married again, or if I get into a LTR, long-term relationship, or life. Let's just keep coming out with words. Lifetime partnership, companionship, like whatever you want to call it. I'll do nice things for her. That's normal. I made you this because I knew you liked it. That's normal. That's what a decent person does. But to find out what a person... Now, this is the evil side right here. Find out what people want and work that. And reward them and deprive them. And you can get them to do whatever that... Think about it. The same way you train a dog, you can train a human being. Same exact way. You don't have to punish. You don't have to punish. Like literally, physically punish. You just don't have to reward the BS. Reward positive behavior. One of the first rules in behavior modification is behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. That's probably the most important thing I'm going to say today. Behavior that gets rewarded gets repeated. Now we're getting into Robert Greene, laws of power kind of stuff, which I didn't want to go there. But there is some truth to those 48 laws of power. If you're honest with yourself, you can really, really get what the heck you want in life. I mean, it's just a true manipulator, psychopath would take that book and just memorize it. I'll put the link for it down below. Oh, God. I got to get to work. I have to get to the salon today. I have a hot towel straight razor shave lined up for 9 o'clock this morning. Quick story about that. I'm giving a guy a shave. You guys, I do women's hair and men's hair. At the salon where I'm at, I do men's grooming. I have a private men's grooming studio. It's magnificent. Work with a great team of people. I had a guy in the chair, leaned back, hot towel, hot lather, straight razor. The dude was falling asleep. Actually, I had a dude fall asleep yesterday in the chair. It was kind of funny. And he apologized for it. I'm like, no, don't apologize, man. That's what happens. It's like getting... I always said this, that a straight razor shave for a man is kind of like a man's visit to a spa. Because men don't go to spas and get stuff done. But a straight razor shave is the closest thing. If you go to the right kind of... Like if you go to me, it's the best shave you've ever gotten. I do not mess around with that. And when you're the best, there's no brag. It's not bragging if you can do it. Because I make your face look incredible. It's kind of like a mini facial. And I know all the Beavis and Buttheads are out there going, facial. But I'll never forget shaving a dude, and it was in a more public type of place, at a place that I worked at. Shaving a guy. And his wife came over and said, that is so relaxing, just watching it. And I said, yeah, it's relaxing for all three of us. And she goes, what do you mean? I said, well, he's in the zone because he's getting his face worked on in a gentle way. You are watching it and watching your husband feel good. You know he's going to look good when he's done. And I said, myself, I enjoy it because I get in my zone. I put on Bach. here's a weird dichotomy. I put on either Bach or the Allman Brothers. And I get into my zone, and I don't stand up when I shave. I wheel up a stool, just like I'm sitting now, and I shave the person, and I literally wheel around them as I'm shaving them. And I kind of get into my zone as well. So it's not only, it doesn't only feel good to have it done, it's kind of cool to watch it. If you've seen my video that we did a couple years ago, it was a trip. It was a trip. It was a snowy day, no cars on the road. I'll put a link for it down below. It's from a barber shop that I worked at. Helped the guy get it off the ground for about 6 months. Snowy day, no customers. The guy's father brings us coffee. I think there was only 4 of us in the shop. Hey, let's do a video. About what? I don't know. Let's do a shave video. Who's going to get shaved? The guy's father said, I will, I'll do it. I said, all right, come on, get in the chair. So the other dude took out an iPhone and recorded me shaving the father. It wasn't really the best shave in the world either. It was just like we were bored. Hey, let's make a video. That video now, let me just double check real quick. I'll put a link for it down below. It's called the Ultimate Hot Towel Shave. Have you seen it? This video now has 2,353,916 views. We made it in about 12 minutes on a fluke. Now go figure. And it's not on my channel, and I wish it was. I would monetize that sucker, man. It's got almost 2.5 million hits. Isn't that crazy? And the comments down below are funny as hell. Funny. Like, this was not a planned out video. Like I said, I'll put a link for it down below. You might have seen it, you might not have seen it, but it's trippy. And I had a bigger beard at the time. And it was probably about 50 pounds, at least 50 pounds heavier. I was a bigger man at the time, too. Hey, let's read something from the blog before we go. Yesterday we talked about the law of attraction versus the law of action. That was a trip. The 150 mile per gallon carburetor. Remember that? Remember the paranoid conspiracy theory shop teacher in the 70s that talked about how oil companies paid off or killed the guy that invented the 150 mile per gallon carburetor? You wondered if it was really true. Art Bell touched on it occasionally. Art Bell from Coast to Coast, classic conspiracy theorist. Died fairly recently, I think. Thank God for my buddy Art Bell on some of my long, dark night rides home for many years. The next morning you were never really sure if you heard what he said or were dreaming those things. I saw an ad today that said Ford releases a 65 mile per gallon car, but not in America. It figures. We might see that in 5 years. I said this back in 2008. Of course, there's no 65 mile per gallon car. How come when I travel the world, I see these compact cars that get 45 to 55 miles a gallon, but I don't see them here in the United States? Like when I travel abroad and I rent a car, I always rent like some little dinky little thing, like a go-kart. I'm slow to jump on the conspiracy bandwagon, but this one bugs me. I just thought I would drop this one. So let's go back to conspiracy theories. There's always some truth in conspiracy theories. And with that, I'm going to say have a great Saturday. I might see you tomorrow. I'm not sure. Finish your coffee. And the lighting issue on this camera here is driving me absolutely insane. Have a good day, everybody. 2019 is the year you get unstuck. And one of the first ways that you get unstuck is to put your foot down against time wasters, rule abiders, doing the same thing over, routine. Put your foot down, do something different, create some cognitive dissonance in your head, stir things up. Do the vortex method in your head to optimize your thoughts.